I will be asking him a few questions about Battlefield, and some of them are questions from the users on our community. So these are random order, and Daniel will answer the best as he can. First off, I have a question about the upcoming Battlefield DLCs. Will we see MG3 and Leopard 2, which I guess are tanks, in the upcoming Battlefield 3?
Well, we'll see what happens if we add them in or not. Everything is still up for grabs. We usually have a process where when we talk about a new expansion pack, I mean the closest thing to that would be close quarters, where we reveal the weapons a bit later stage after the announcement. So we're going to reveal the vehicles for Armor Kill further down the road.
I have a very specific question here about flight, also in the expansions, which is, why is the AC 130 not manually controllable in the upcoming DLC?
So a lot of it has to do with balance stuff, balance issues. And what you can say about planes in Battlefield 3 is that when you face enemies head on, it creates a different dynamic aspect of the combat. You have to chase someone because he's always on the run. You have to chase someone because he always dodges your stuff. You can strategically choose where you're going to bomb, or what you're going to bomb, what you're going to gun down. And with the big
AC 130?
Sorry, with the big AC 130, it's you can't fly it, so you can't dodge anything. But you have machine guns, you have bombs and stuff that you can drop. So what that makes, it creates a new dimension in the game. That's the thing we definitely want to try. It's a stationary object that you can parachute from. You can para-drop down as your player can spawn on it and drop down to a flag and that kind of stuff. So, with that said, it adds a different dynamic. It adds a different aspect to the game, where you don't have to chase an object, but you have to watch out for an object above. And getting the AC-100 is a very interesting way, because you have to capture a certain point on a flag, on the map. And when you capture that point on the map, you have to make sure you keep it, because AC-100 is a good combat incentive to have. So that's a plan of it. It's to create a new dynamic version of the battlefield. It's something that's ever changing. It's not only the flags that are changing territory. It's not only the map that's changing because of destruction. You have something in the air that's changing on the purpose of what you're doing on the ground, which we haven't had before. So it's going to be interesting to see. During our playtest, it's been a lot of fun working with that. It's been a lot of fun trying it out. I know the designers are quite thrilled about it, so we're quite confident that it's a good idea. And at E3, got a lot of praise. We had it behind closed doors, and a lot of people asked the same thing. Why is it not flyable? And, well, it is balance issues. And, of course, that's a different dynamic when you actually can't fly the machine. You actually have to keep it intact in a way. So,
thanks. some users wants to know, will we see an air superiority mode like we did in Battlefield 1943?
Oh, we'll see if that happens. It would be a very cool idea. Air superiority is, it's probably one of the best ways to, practice your air-to-air combat mechanics and that kind of stuff. But we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. This is one of my own. What changes have been implemented due to community-based feedback? Bug fixes, nerfing, etc. I know that you take a lot of pride in your community and the feedback they provide. And I know that there's been a lot of feedback regarding Battlefield 3 pre-release. But do you have any examples of changes being made due to community-based feedback?
Yes. So what we do with community feedback is that first of all, it has to fit the logic of the game. So if people want dinosaurs shooting laser out of their eyes on Grand Bazaar or any other map in BF3, that obviously doesn't work. That doesn't fit the style or the tone of the game. But what we do is that when we read around, when we talk to people, we Skype with a lot of people, we just talk to people, read a lot of their stuff, and what we do there is that we take their feedback. It has to be compared to something. It has to be compared to what we see in the game. So we have something called a telemetry database where we just compare all that feedback to what we see in the game, and heat maps and that kind of stuff. So for instance, if someone would say there's a choke point on this and this map that we feel is very unbalanced, you need to tweak the weapons, you need to tweak away a vehicle or whatever it is. We take a look at that for some time, and then we see, okay, maybe we need to add a change. What can we do different, and that kind of stuff. So the telemetry data helps us a lot, especially when it comes to balancing weapons, especially when it comes to fixing weapons that don't work as intended for some apparent reason. Also, server stability. The RSP program for consoles, where you can rent the server, is probably one of the best initiatives concerning community feedback. That has come a long way from BC2, so definitely one of the best feedback systems. And battle log is ever changing. Battle log is not really, it's still the same component as it was before, but it's different from when we launched it. It's more stable now. You can do a lot more stuff with battle log, and it's a more interesting aspect of it. It's going to keep growing. It's going to keep evolving because it's an online platform, so it's very easy to fix. And the team is very dedicated. The team is very good at working with it. So there's a lot of community feedback that has been integrated. It has to fit the logic as well. I mean, it's so different sitting in a games company and seeing the feedback and then going from the outside and giving feedback. We don't sit around and pick, numbers out of a hat of what the things we're going to fix. I mean, everything is dedicated regarding resources, regarding what we aim to fix, what we think our players want in regards to feedback. And there are different types of feedback that are coming in. There's feedback from players that span all the way back from the BF42 demo, and we're really grateful for that feedback. And there's feedback from newer players that just bought BF3 and feel a certain way about it. And the game is a game on its own standard. It's supposed to, be judged by its own merits. And it is a successor to the old Battlefield series, but then again, we need to evolve the game. And we evolve it through feedback. We evolve it through our ideas as a studio. That was a long answer, right?
It's great. We love long answers. Premium was announced at E3 and has received a lot of claim, both good and bad. Some people believe it's a pay-to-win upgrade. What are your thoughts on that?
The thoughts are that immediately I start thinking it's not a pay-to-win upgrade, because we're very careful at saying that it is definitely not a pay-to-win upgrade. A pay-to-win upgrade in my book, or as it looks like in the world now, is if you get a weapon that does far more damage than any other weapon in the game. I mean, if you buy a pack that changes gameplay and benefits you individually or your team collectively over the others by increasing in-game stats behind the scenes, that's a pay-to-win initiative. What Premium does is just it gives you the expansion packs earlier and as a bundle cheaper, and a lot of different cool drops that are coming in the coming months. It doesn't change the gameplay in any way. So that's what Premium does. And Premium it adds a lot of, you know, depth to you as a Battlefield player. New dog tags, new knife, a lot of content, you know. So if you're really a fan, you're gonna get it. If you're not a fan, you're not gonna get it. So it depends on if you want it as a player. And it's the same thing as people who buy strategy guides for any game. Strategy guides for BF3 that we had out. I mean, it's not a pay-to-win upgrade to buy a strategy guide. It's just a way for you to comprehend what's going on in the game. What's the best use of the tank and what's the best use of the plane. And you can find that out by Googling best use plane Battlefield 3, pretty much. So, I mean, all the information is out there. So it's not a gameplay changing aspect. It's just a cosmetic and a value incentive for the player.
This might seem like a weird question, but do you have any specific numbers on Danish players versus worldwide statistics in mean of kills or engagement? Do you have any idea of whether the Nordic countries engage more in?
We have that behind the scenes. We do. So we can definitely give that out after this, and going to our regions, we can give that out. We can see that in our backend stuff. But worth mentioning is that Danish teams are on the rise in BF3 esports. They've been around. They've been good ever since BF42. That goes for pretty much all the Nordic countries, even Norway and Finland. But yeah, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Denmark have always been, you know, good and very progressive in the Battlefield world when it comes to team playing, when it comes to esports, when it comes to, you know, being skilled, because Nordic countries are very much born and raised with PCs. We're born and raised with a good IT line, and it's very different than back in the continent, in Spain or in the US, for example. So yeah, we've always been holding the crown for Battlefield, which is quite good.
This is one of my own interests. I'm a huge fan of huge multiplayer maps, and you did just mention regarding the armored kill, which is still very secret. But will we see an increase in the number of players that are available on the map from 64 to something else?
That's a good question. We've said that these are the biggest maps we've ever created. And why not increase the player count? So increasing a player count has a lot to do with how the game will perform. We want the game to perform the best it can, and we tried it out with 128 players, as Patrick Boss said way back, and we just felt like that's not the perfect mix. It doesn't add the perfect depth. So 64 players adds the perfect team play mechanism, adds the perfect gameplay mechanism. So that's where we've always been headed. That's where Battlefield always has been. There's been mods for BF2 where people played 128 players. Although not unbelievable lag, some lag because all clients are connecting to the server, it just wasn't as enjoyable as it could have been. So 64 players is the best way to go, and 24 players on console, of course. So yeah, biggest maps, but still the same player count, which will be quite enough. I mean, in our playtests, we see that everyone's running around and doing their stuff, and you know, working for the same objective. So.
Close here. Is there anything at all you can reveal about Endgame and the what's the other one called? After Armored Kill?
Aftermath.
Aftermath.
Well, not anything that we haven't revealed already, but something to tease with. Endgame has motorcycles, or dirt bikes as they're called. In Swedish, I think that's the same thing.
Peggy 16.